Hello, 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 everyone out there on the interwebs from coast to coast, continent to continent. Welcome to this month's Fulldome Forum. We are so excited. We've got such an amazing lineup of speakers today. Real quick, I also want to invite you to our film festival, Dome Fest West. This all came from us putting on a film festival, and we've got our latest festival coming up just 6 weeks away. And that will be taking place in Boulder, Colorado, April 23rd through 26th. We've got incredible programming, films, panels, presentations, and an entire exhibit hall full of incredible vendors and different companies working in the space. So if you want to get to know the Full Dome space, if you want to get to know the people that are working in it better, this is a must-attend event for 2026. So we definitely hope to see you there. With that, I would love to actually introduce our host for today's conversation, Ed Lantz. Ed, why don't you go ahead and jump on and take it away from here? Thank you so much, Ed.
Thanks, Ryan. Ryan is our executive director of Dome Fest West. I'm board chair and co-founder, along with Ryan and Kate McCallum. And this topic today is very dear to my heart. I have to say, it's one of the motivating reasons that got me into the domes in the first place, and that is the ability of immersive media to have a profound effect on our nervous systems and, essentially rewiring our brains. So how can we use that power of the dome in a way that benefits our communities? So a few things I wanted to say first, like why we're doing this and why we need sanctuary now. As I think most people know, we're living in a time of chronic cognitive load. There's a lot of things begging for our attention. There's a lot of stress, uncertainty, and this is really important work that we're doing here with this sort of genre of programming, if you will. As I'm sure you know, music is a powerful mood-altering agent. Storytelling is also very psychologically very powerful. Art as well, and then ritual coming together in groups. These are things that technologies, in a sense, that have been around since the dawn of time, and we're able to activate in immersive media. Really, immersive media raises the bar on the effect of media on our nervous system. I think of it as a wideband interface to the brain through nerve endings in your eye and your retina. And the idea with the dome is to map a pixel on every nerve ending in your retina and surround you with spatial sound, as well as vibration and other senses. So I don't want to dwell on this. I think we have a really awesome panel here today. We have 4 content creation teams who will talk about the work that they've been doing in the space. And we also have Mitch Abrams, who is an MD, who can comment on what he's seeing happening in this field and the importance of it. So without further ado, I'd like to invite on screen Joshua Sam Miller. Josh is an award-winning ocean activist and immersive impact producer. His mission is to connect people back to the natural world through the power of these wellness experiences that he creates. His current touring project is Sounds of the Ocean. He debuted at Burning Man in 2019, awesome. And he's offered over 300 events around the world. His company is Embodied Sounds. Anyway, I won't go on about it. Josh, why don't you come on screen and share some of your work and some of your thoughts about this space?
Hello. Thank you, Ed. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. It's so great to be here. I am calling in from Maui, Hawaii, where we are working this entire season with whale watching and listening experiences here on the ocean. So it's a little bit dark. We're going to watch the sunrise together, I think, over the next hour. And I'm super excited to talk about my passion for wellness and immersive media, which to me takes many shapes and sizes. We've been knowing the Dome Fest West crew now for over 4 years and really find the power of domes, especially to just be these beautiful sanctuaries. So I think it's a very important space where we prioritize wellness alongside all the other great content, because as Ed mentioned, we definitely need it. So let me share with you a little bit about my work, if it's possible to replace this share. Do you see my screen now?
Not
I
yet.
think so. Not yet. Okay. How about now?
Yep, I can see it. Yes.
Oh,
Okay, great. So, yeah, my main focus in this space is been ocean related. I grew up a scuba diver and always had a passion for the ocean, finding the concept of blue mind to really be something that has helped me greatly in moments of need in my life, and I think has the potential to really connect people, regardless where they live on the planet, with an environment that's critical to life on our planet, which is the ocean. And our show has been touring for several years now. We've been really prioritizing a combination of impact and entertainment as we've been growing this up. And I'm excited to share with you a little bit of what we've heard from folks over the years and share with you a teaser of the experience as well. So we're been blessed with the music and film festival circuit to support us on this concept to bring more esoteric and emotion-based experiences into planetariums and domes specifically, by combining original ocean sound and imagery with music that supports people's well-being, and have been touring this as an official UN Ocean Decade activity since 2022. And this really shows our commitment to prioritize well-being alongside entertainment and conservation. We really designed these three pillars right from the start of creating this project, which was started in California when I was introduced to the sounds of blue whales and humpback whales through our research partner at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And I really find this intersection to be so exciting of these different industries. There's a lot of crossover, but they're also very separate. And what we're seeing now are people showing up with interest in all three of these categories that connect with each other at our events and are able to walk out having an experience that maybe they expected, but maybe they also didn't expect, which brings up many different questions, I think, for us to consider. We do include a section in our show inspiring the audience to care more about the planet and really recognize their impact and ways to reduce their impact. But we mainly prioritize the feeling of wellness throughout the experience so that people leave feeling good about their time and not more fearful about the environment, which is a fine line to walk when dealing with climate change. And these are some of the places that have welcomed us over the years. Been really blessed with our planetarium partners and science museums, alongside some of the climate conferences and Fulldome festivals around the world. So thank you again to Ryan, especially for hosting us at Dome Fest West. And these are some of the formats that we're sharing it in. I know today's all about the dome, but I wanted to include some slides of just the different ways that well-being can be experienced. This was at an exhibition we did in Toronto, Canada. And I find it's just so powerful when you can bring the ocean into a space, even in a city like this, which is Toronto, very far from the ocean, and give people a sense of what it's like down there, which I think today technology allows us to do more than ever before. This is a shot from our screening last year at the Giant Screen Cinema Association conference, which we were very proud to be a part of as well. And I have a short clip that I'd like to play for you here to allow you to feel more of what I'm talking about than just listening. So let me share my different window. And I invite you to get nice and cozy. If you're not wearing headphones, definitely suggest headphones. It's about 3 minutes, and we'll take a dive into the ocean ourselves and then wrap up on the other side. So I hope you enjoy it and sit back and take the dive into the ocean. Alrighty, welcome back. Hope you feel more relaxed and connected to the ocean. Feel free to drop any comments in the chat as you're listening, and I'll continue on with the rest of my presentation here. So that was, of course, formatted for the flat screen presentation we're having today, but we do show this in full dome formats, which has been touring as a live performance as well. This is a photograph from our concert in Berlin last year, and are still offering this experience alongside the pre-recorded sessions. We actually have a performance coming up in Arizona next week at the Arizona Science Center in their brand new Dorrance Dome, which we're super excited about. And I just wanted to point this one of my last slides. This is our experience we're doing here on the ocean, where we take away the need for visuals because people are on the water on boats, and we provide a really high quality audio experience with our wireless headphones, where we actually drop a hydrophone into the ocean and let people listen to the whales underneath the boat, which has been just incredible. and talk about the power of well-being. I think the first time you hear a whale in general, it's really impressive. The first time you hear a whale live, it takes your experience on this planet to a whole nother level. So I definitely encourage anyone interested to come out and do this with us. We're here the rest of the month, and also we'll be back next season. I've been following the whales, so to speak, to really deliver this super high impact experience on the water. And another really important element of our project is really supporting the indigenous wisdom and the communities around the world globally that are advocating for a healthier planet, for indigenous rights, and really prioritizing those voices to be part of the conversation. We've been partnered with two organizations that are worth mentioning. One is Oceanic Global, the other, the Wisdom Keepers Delegation. And this is our vocalist Fire here, who's from New Zealand and a Maori artist. That is just phenomenal. On the impact side, which I think really connects to the well-being, because we always, I think, feel better as a individual when we can give back and contribute to our community. These are some of the ways that we have been saving the planet slowly but steadily. Most of our focus has been on plastic pollution, and we donate directly from ticket sales to remove plastic from around the world. We also feature speakers from different organizations at our events and allow our venue partners to help us choose the organizations that we're including, which allows us to create a lot of local action, which has been really powerful. So I've learned about so many projects happening and meeting so many organizations who care about protecting their river systems, their lake systems, their natural resources, even in inland communities like Oklahoma or Wisconsin. By getting to tour this project around and say, hey, let's create an event that's going to do something good for our community and for the environment. This is what some folks have been telling us. And I really never forget the quote from PBS, which really is powerful, where they came to our first concert, one of our first performances, and noticed that this combination of well-being and climate activism is quite unique. And I think there's a very exciting link there that more producers and more artists can lean into. We've definitely been encouraging young musicians and storytellers to want to talk about climate in a different way, engage a younger demographic and a younger audience to care about it, and fuse it to, I think, by fusing it together with wellness, we have that potential because people don't need to be more stressed when thinking about how to solve big problems. They need to be less stressed. And I think that pretty much wraps it up for me. I hope I didn't go over, but there's my contact in case anyone's interested to follow up. It's really a joy for me to get to develop this project. We have lots of ideas and are always open for ways to bring more well-being into any type of space, whether you are a dome or not. And I just can't thank Ed and Ryan and the entire crew at Dome Fest West enough for including us. So pass it back to you, Ed.
Thanks so much, Joshua. Wow, amazing work. And that combination of enhanced well-being with nature, ocean conservancy is really a powerful combination. And you know, it's great to see so many theaters, planetariums opening up and inviting you in. You know, that's one of the things that folks working in this space, you know, there's not a lot of opportunities to get your work out there, and you've done a great job getting your work out there.
Thank you.
Cool, cool. Okay, well, next up, I'd like to invite Sam Stevens into our panel. Sam is immersive artist, director, composer with Dreams Lost in Time and Spectre Studios. And he's been creating VR-based therapeutic experiences and then moved into Fulldome and XR. And he's really works a lot in live action with 360 photography initially and now video. He's also done VJing in sold-out dome festivals and yoga in the dome. Anyway, I'll let Sam come on screen and talk about his work and his thoughts about this space.
Thank you so much, Ed. It's great to connect with everyone this morning. Since 2008, I've been obsessed with the art, technology, and impact of Fulldome and VR. As a lifelong visual artist and composer, I have dedicated the last 18 years of my life to designing a new form of XR therapy, laying the foundation through creating a vast library of nature-themed 360 content, and developing Peaceful Places VR. I have contributed to 15 Fulldome films and 8 real-time XR applications, produced an extensive library of 18K Fulldome panoramas, exhibited 360 photography nationally, founded a solo art gallery, VJ'd at sold-out festivals and concerts, invented small domes, and 2017, starting Fisk Planetarium to produce the semester-long Yoga in the. And I would like to give a quick shout out to the Dorrance Dome and to Alec Warren for related to wellness.
Hey, Sam, your audio is dropping out a little bit. Maybe just make sure you're speaking close to the mic. Thanks.
Sure, I'll turn pods. Is that better?
I think so.
Oh, my second 360 visual album, 90 Days in Europe, was recently awarded Best 360 Video in the Barcelona Indie Awards and was an official selection of the Macon Film Festival. Both of my Fulldome films, 90 Days in Europe and Keep Searching, are now available to license, and I have spent the last few years developing plans for a dome tour of these films. Driven by my mission to form a new type of XR therapy, I forged an unconventional educational path spanning the arts, sciences, technology, and business, studying psychology and meditation specifically, in order to better understand how the powerful medium of Fulldome can be utilized to create spaces for healing, contemplation, and reflection, offering deeply emotional and inspirational transformative experiences that can have a profound impact. I took multiple breaks from university to work on each of my businesses. And at the age of 33, I graduated summa cum laude from the University of Colorado Boulder with a degree in media production and a minor in creative technology and design. I then went on to complete a year of graduate studies in the first cohort of the Real-Time Art and Visual Effects Master's Program at FH Salzburg. For my honors thesis, my research was focused on artistic Fulldome films and visual albums. I conducted a formal analysis of 11 visual albums and 2 artistic Fulldome films, identifying and discussing 3 core themes driving the aesthetic of visual albums: the use of landscape art and romanticized depictions of nature, narrative abstraction, and a sense of wonder established through the variability and closeness to and distance from reality. These core themes continue to serve as creative constraints in each of the visual albums I produce. Telling a story without using any voiceover or narration has been by far the most challenging creative constraint I've experimented with as a Fulldome filmmaker. However, I believe it allows for the audience to feel relaxed and be purely focused on the music, as it is interwoven with the visual journey the films lead us on. I believe it is no coincidence that each of the talented producers on today's forum were musicians long before they became Fulldome filmmakers. And I believe that over time, we will see more musicians adopt the medium of visual albums as a way to express their creative visions. I myself have been a passionate musician, composer, and performer since the age of 12. And I am about to embark on composing my 10th album, which will be interwoven with 360 cinematic storytelling produced for Fulldome and VR, creating what will become my 3rd visual album to date. For me personally, 360 visual albums offer the ultimate form of creative expression and self-discovery as a musician and visual artist, combining my lifelong love for music, nature, and the arts. The immersive qualities of Fulldome and VR provide artists and medical practitioners with endless possibilities to create and present the perfect controlled environment for therapeutic experiences. I believe the ways that pixels are painted across the dome canvas in harmony of beautiful music, dancing beat by beat to tell a story that resonates with an audience, offers a show that can be truly moving on a deeply emotional level, creating a memorable and potentially healing experience. I approach my practice as a meditation, as a spiritual ritual. Something that's really surprised me along the way has been something that's really surprised me along the way has been how meaningful of an impact that this work has had on me personally. I have found that the very work I have done to try to help others has been incredibly healing for me as an artist. All of the real world environments I've recreated in 360 are literally my dreams lost in time. When I venture deep into remote locations in nature with the mission of producing 360 content that is intended to reconnect individuals with peaceful places from throughout their lives, I'm usually the only person in these remote locations, bearing witness to a fleeting moment in nature, a sunrise or a sunset that will only occur once. I find a great deal of meaning in the ability to share those moments, particularly with those who might not get the chance to visit these places in person. I view this as both a privilege and my responsibility as an artist, and I don't take that lightly. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to demo Peaceful Places VR one-on-one in various medical settings. And I've received feedback from people that this has made their day better, that it's helped them to relax and take their mind off something they are going through, help them reconnect with nature, help them revisit a meaningful memory. Engaging with an immersive experience so inspiring that it truly has a positive impact in their life and encourages them to reflect on all the inspiration and emotions that are evoked. Knowing that my work has had an impact like this makes it impossible for me to give up on my mission as an artist. Creating a new form of XR therapy is my life's mission, and I've accepted that it's a long road. I've had numerous audience members approach me in tears after screenings and live performances. One of the audience members who approached me in tears shared that my immersive art installation and VJ performance was the most beautiful work of art she had ever seen. I believe that in that moment, I provided a transformative experience that created a lasting memory and deeply inspired her. Based on feedback received over the years, I believe that once the proper research has been conducted, there will be qualitative evidence for the profound impact that immersive experiences can offer, paired with quantitative data to support this. If you are interested in partnering on or funding this research, or in licensing immersive content, or in bringing this work to your venue as part of my upcoming Dome tour, I would love to connect. And huge thank you to Ed Lantz, to Ryan Moore, and to the Dome Fest West team for all the support they provide to this wonderful community, and for all the innovation they drive in this space. And huge shout out to each of the talented panelists on today's forum for all the inspiring work they are doing to serve Fulldome audiences. Thank you. It's been an honor to be a guest speaker on today's Fulldome Forum.
Thanks, Sam. Love your work, man. Working a lot of the work that I've done in this space, like with Worlds and other, the journey is animated, a lot of animation, and working with natural worlds, I think is really important, especially for the clinical work. There's a group who was doing television programming for patients in hospitals, and they said, oh, you can't do anything abstract. It has to be all photoreal, because people are on meds and they'll start hallucinating if you have too much abstract content. So that grounding people in real places, I think, is really important.
Certainly.
Yeah. So, let's move on. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Ed.
Next up, we have Michael and Jahna Perricone. Michael and Jahna are partners in life and sound, and the creative team behind The Journey, which is an award-winning immersive film designed to cultivate deep well-being, creativity, and expanded awareness. Michael's co-director, composer, sound designer, producer, and has worked in spatial audio and cinema sound for many years. Jahna also is a composer, vocalist, co-writer, and she's a UCLA certified mindfulness coach. And she infuses her work with emotional depth and mindful presence. So they're really a dynamic duo. And why don't you guys come on screen and share some of your work and your thoughts about this space.
Well, thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ryan. We're so honored to be on this panel with all these amazing thought leaders in this medium and to be part of a cultivation of creating sanctuaries in the dome where people can perhaps tap into kindness, well-being, a sense of belonging and connection. And you know, we've been in this medium for a while, starting with sound.
Right. I mean, it combined our passions for music and sound healing, which I've been doing for a lot of years. I started playing music at age 10, and I started meditating at age 17. And so putting these together in this format and bringing it to people is just amazing. We've seen super profound results when people first start out doing sound baths for people, just the audio portion, and then we started adding visuals later. We did an event last Sunday even where...
Yeah, we had an amazing, I mean, it's pretty powerful. There was a gentleman there who has Parkinson's, and during the sound experience where we utilize ancient Himalayan singing bowls, they're all between 300 and 600 years old, gongs and other instruments, his tremors stopped. And, you know, this is brand new information that's coming out. We've had other things happening where people have had feeling coming back in limbs that they didn't have. And it's pretty miraculous. So we wanted to continue that journey by bringing it into a full dome experience where people can really get that immersive healing. And so during the pandemic and since then, we've been working on our full dome film.
With our great team, Ed and Kate.
Right.
Ed Lantz and Kate McCallum, and also beautiful art. It involves beautiful art from Brianna Amore. And it's a film that metaphorically follows the life experience from formlessness to form and back again.
Right, and the whole piece is infused with these healing tones that come from the ancient Himalayan singing bowls that have been weaved together with orchestrated a soundtrack.
So we also do something where we've expanded it, where we do a combination of the two with our live event, where we do the singing bowls and the other musical instruments, and then flowing directly into a playing of the film. It's called The Journey Live.
Right. And in fact, we're very honored and excited to be able to share this Journey Live experience at the Fisk Planetarium. So if anybody's in Boulder, the first weekend of April 5th,
April 5th,
right? Yeah. We'd love you guys to join us and experience film. We're also thrilled that the Journey was chosen as an official selection for Domefest West this year. Very, very honored. So we'll be back in Boulder again at the end of the month. Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited.
Yeah.
We wish we could see everybody. We're just looking at us. I want to see everybody right now. So
there's a lot of science around the whole wellness experience with the singing bowls. They've done a lot of tests. There's less science directly surrounding the dome experience with the singing bowls, but that's coming now. That's developing.
But we do know that because of the full dome environments, that can trigger like a sense of awe, right? That's a link to having reduced inflammation, increased well-being, and a heightened present moment awareness. So we've had studies that have shown lower cortisol levels, heart rate levels, lower blood pressure, and at the same time lifting our ability to reach various brain states that are healing and even meditative.
And the singing bowls themselves, which even where the film progresses with other instruments, the singing bowls have the tones, the frequency beats. They've been proven to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So it takes stressful situations and brings people into more of a rest. And it shows drops in fatigue and even a single session can, and it's a single watching the film can help that.
Right. So we've given you a bit of information, and what we'd love to just kind of end with, well, not end before the video is talking about the dome. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the dome, one of the things we're excited about the dome is the dome can be a center, a community center, so where people can get used to coming. I think this is amazing to be bringing this stuff like what Dorrance is doing, bringing the healing experience to the dome, and because it can become a place where people can communally relax. They can watch these films, or as the Dorrance, they have sound baths and yoga classes there. Other domes are starting to do that. And I think this can be a focal point in the community. It can be a real community builder.
So we've found that, and I think you've probably all experienced this, when you are in a full field visual environment with sound enveloping all around you and you're comfortable, this helps to bypass our thinking mind. And when we're able to do that, it allows our body to open into these deeper resting and awareness states that really helps us to access these states of inner peace, a sense of safety and a sense of community and a sense of awe. So what we'd really love to do is share with you a little video on the journey and give you a little taste of what the film is about, and we hope you enjoy it.
And it's less than 3 minutes.
Welcome to the journey. We are born of love, burst in formlessness, bathed in light, embraced in curiosity. We begin. Every one of us who has ever lived has taken the journey we call life.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I guess we would just like to end with sharing a little bit of what people have told us. And I think one of my favorites is somebody said that they had never felt that relaxed for like years, and just to offer, and I'm sure all of us on this panel and even in the audience have had this experience where something we've done has given somebody a sense of peace and a sense of landing, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. My favorite quote after one of the test screenings was a photographer said, "It makes me want to be a better person." Yeah. Love that one.
It's a pretty good one. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure to be part with this esteemed group and all these great creators.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ed and Ryan.
We're very, very excited to hear everybody's comments and whatever you'd like to share. And we look forward to hearing the rest of the panel. And thank you for letting us have some time with you today. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. It's really been a joy working with you on that film. And as Michael and Jahna mentioned, it started out as a COVID project, and we did a small Kickstarter campaign, and it's largely been self-funded.
Yes.
And you know, that's one of the things about this space is that right now, the content creators creating this sort of content really are challenged to be able to monetize it, because the planetariums are, you know, so focused on their primary mission of STEM education, astronomy, space science, whatever, that, you know, we're trying to squeeze in this sort of programming. We'd really love to see more dome theaters opening up a slot, maybe in the mornings or whatever, for this sort of relaxing content. Great way to serve the community. So next up, I would like to introduce Laura Inserra. Did I get that right? And
beautiful rolling, love it.
Oh, so Laura's a globally recognized sound alchemist and founder of Chambers of Awe. She creates music-driven immersive works designed as sanctuaries for modern audiences, spaces that soothe, regulate, and awaken awe. She's born and raised in Sicily and bridges rare acoustic instruments and field recordings, psychoacoustics, and traditional wisdom traditions with cinematic tech to craft these amazing experiences. And her show, Qualia, was created specifically for planetariums, and it guides audiences through 5 elements. And I will let Laura take it away and tell us about your work and what you think of this space.
Thank you so much, Ed. Such a joy to be here. I'm finally excited to have these conversations. We had, you and I, a few of these in the background, but I want to share like a little deck I put together just to help with visuals as well. And let me see if you see it. Are we all good?
Yes.
I'll take it as a yes. So as Ed shared, I founded and I'm the creative director of Chambers of Awe with a beautiful team, especially one of my inspirations and best friend and one of the most amazing human beings, Ian Donny. I think you are here. And he changed my vision of what I was already doing with immersive experiences when I saw his work in Mesmerica, actually, at Chabot in 2018. And that probably is one of the reasons why I'm here today in this community. But Ed, I agree with you, and I loved your slides, and I want to start with this quote about the fact that when a complex system is far from equilibrium, like we are, I believe, small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to shift the entire system to a higher order. And for me, domes, they can be those islands of coherence, spaces that we need for people to embark in journeys or experiences that help regulating their system. And hopefully, again, like in this chaos of the times we're living, somehow we shift together into a higher order of balance. And as you mentioned, of course, like we know, all of us, that we live in a time of anxiety, stress, especially now there is more wars coming in, and this need of somehow stepping into these experiences of awe, connection especially, and experiences that they bring us meaning of life and reconnect us with the mystery and the beauty and the magic of nature and what we are made of. So it is clear for me that at the same time, we are not just looking nowadays for entertainment, but we are truly looking for places where we can stop, breathe, and remember who we are. Just a little bit of where I come from. I started in my 80s projecting slides on my wall, so that that was my first probably immersive experiences I was creating for myself and my friends. And of course, while we were jamming with music, because music has that power as well to entrain us, to let us dream, feel, and experience. And so, along the way, I've done many different site-specific, multidisciplinary performances and installations. My work has been centered mainly on immersive sound, transformative art, and again, experiences that help people reconnect with themselves, with each other, and with nature especially. And the mystery of life, which a lot of wisdom traditions, they take us into those understandings. And so I try to bring as well practices or meditations that, or instruments as well, that they come from those cultures that they're already using music as tools for transformation, for connection. And of course, like my life all along has been also really inspired by different research I've been part of, and using these instruments and witnessing the healing aspect and the embodying transformation that people have. It's really powerful, and that has taken me in different summits, and or like as you can see here, like in workshops where I already was immersing people into the experience and letting them closing their eyes and expanding their awareness. But then with the dome, especially for those people that through only sound, that they can't really get those emotions or those experiences, I add visuals. And this is where I believe the dome is really a powerful venue for creating this collective embodiment, and where people, as already we have shared, that they reduce their stress, they have experiences of healing, they have also experiences of connecting with their ancestors. And they kind of, sometimes they talk about, for example, this work that I'm doing now with Qualia as a psychedelic experience without medicine, meaning that we use our own senses to really shift into different states. And I love the idea as well to start to talk about entrainment more than entertainment, with this sense that entrainment it means to become the experience, where entrainment is this just enjoyment and a lot of information that comes towards you, and okay, you finish the day, the night, but people like go back home with a few beautiful pictures for their Instagram, but somehow that was it. If it's not even more stressed than before, especially certain shows, I've heard they are so full, so dynamic, that people actually, they get out of it a little bit even confused because of the capacity and the extension as well of the experience being immersed into a dome. So I believe as well that the collective dimension is very important, and I understand a lot the tool that VR is bringing that is so helpful in many ways. But what I really love about domes and these experiences is that we are social animals. And this, what we heard calling into this collective effervescent, we experience together collective body awareness that shift us because of that energetic state that everybody's entering. And so it helps a lot people that are maybe a little bit more numb to kind of expand and get this sense of community and communal experiences, and they talk about it. and so forth. But another important piece for me is the power not only of music and art, but storytelling, which has been essential in our history of being human and human flourishing. That sense of the meaningful storytelling that we are, exposing people to, and that's, I think, it's an essential topic that I would like also to underline here. How do we help people with those storytellings, with those moments of rest in between the music or the images, to integrate those experiences, and so that they become part of the experience. And as Ed mentioned, I did produce this, what I call an experiential film, which is mainly music-led. So it's a little bit unusual because I started from the music, which actually it's part of a research at Johns Hopkins around the power of music for mental, emotional, and physical healing. So I'm also interested in bringing as well science and proof that of what we are talking about, actually. And so Qualia is a designed, guided, transformative journey that some people, they take it as such. Some other people, they take 15 minutes of a nap, which is great. I would say maybe they are exhausted. Some people, they talk again about pain relief or incredible life shift or reconnecting back to themselves. And it is based mainly in combining art, ancient wisdom, and science / technology, because I think we need the three together, this trinity, this bridging the ancient and the future, so that we can really make it as humans. And I'll share with you just 2 minutes of what we see and we hear people, and what is also Qualia about. And so let's see if you can see this.
What VR tries to achieve, this actually did.
What I was really surprised about was how powerful the music was.
Everything just started to explode, and it was incredibly just transformative.
The star fields and the motion was mesmerizing. I literally felt myself actually moving into a very meditative state.
I was able to just feel and wander and dream in my own inner landscape as I was taking all of it in.
That sense of being connected to a larger mystery.
Everything is just unfolding in front of your eyes, and it's very, very relaxing.
I felt like it was a sort of sanctuary of sound and visual experience that felt like a relief.
And it really stood out how few words there were throughout the experience, and then the words that were chosen were really potent.
Embrace the mystery of all existence. Embrace the magic of being.
One of the most powerful things was how moments dissolve. I felt like I was moving through time in a very non-linear way.
Connect you, remind you of how important nature is, how tiny you are on our planet.
I think there's a range of experiences and each person will find something quite transformative for themselves.
As you can see, what I'm seeing, probably you heard it there, is that people live with more sense of calm and more present and a reconnection with nature, with themselves. Some people, they have tears and they don't know even why, but they feel relieved. And what is beautiful for me is also the experience continues after the screening in their life. And this is what I always have been, dreaming, is that at the end, I don't want people to just come back to the show again to have that experience, but they say like, oh, the day after I went to my backyard, I look at the tree, and for the first time in 25 years living in this house, I don't feel alone anymore. So now that person is connecting with the tree in their backyard because they had the possibility through the dome to have this magnifying lens into this beauty that it is nature that we need so desperately to care for and cultivate. And again, this collective shared awareness and growth, I think for me, it's something that it's so important in these days. And my inspirations for those that are filmmakers and creators, from what I'm learning, is it is important that we start creating our films by understanding what do we want for people to experience, how do we want them to leave the room, and to build those experiences thinking about the nervous system as well, not only our sense of aesthetics, especially because being in a dome is so physical as well. And to use sound as well as an architecture and not just a background, because sound, as we know, being done a lot of soundtrack for movies, probably for 30 years. Through music, you can change an emotion of the visuals from being completely dramatic to comic, just changing the genre of music. Anyway, all of this to say, let also our purpose, our intention guiding the medium, and to build work and films for the medium instead of translating our work in this venue. And also, of course, the power of collaboration. I have to make an applause for Fisk, for example. For me, John Keller and the whole team there, they were so supportive. As Sam shared, they have a stage where there is possibility for live music, they do yoga, and he's so open as well to use this medium as a way to create more cultural and restorative spaces for people. And so partnering with artists, I think it's also important, and I'm grateful again to have on my side, again, Ian is one of my dudes, and I say he's a wizard of all, and as others, and all of you here. So thank you so much again for inviting me, and happy to have conversations anytime.
Thank you, Laura. I love what you said about, thinking of the nervous systems of the audience. That's something that I like to tell artists coming into the space, is that you're painting on a canvas, you're an artist expressing yourself, but your canvas is the nervous systems of the audience. And also the notion that one must embody the state that you're trying to get people into in order to be able to really take people there.
I just want to add one thing, though, that one of the challenges, which I should have talked as well, is that we don't have a lot of access in testing our content. And that's a conversation I would like also to see, of domes or planetariums to open their space for artists also to experience their work, because maybe that's also the problem, that we can't sit and just sense it and then go back home in our studios and adjust accordingly. So I think, and I hope that conversation with domes and planetariums can be more open to, once a month, they open to artists to do some labs. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much, Ed.
Great suggestion. Thank you so much. Before we move on to our final speaker, I'd like to remind everyone that there will be an open floor after lounge on a separate Zoom after the panel and the Q&A that will follow. Also, please put any questions you have in the Q&A, and we will address them with the entire panel immediately after our last presenter. Speaking of whom, our last presenter is Mitch Abrams. He's a medical doctor, radiologist, TEDx and keynote speaker, educator. He founded NextGen Health, certified in applied compassion through Stanford Medicine's C-Care program. And he also serves as an assistant clinical professor at McMaster University, and previously chaired diagnostic imaging at Cambridge Memorial Hospital. And one of the things about Mitch, and the reason I invited him on here, because he's not necessarily creating dome content. He's more of an outsider who can give us a perspective on the importance of the work that we're doing and a little context for it. He develops evidence-informed programs integrating medicine, mind, body, science, art, and technology to support whole person health. So I say no more. Mitch, why don't you come on screen here and tell us a little about your work and what you think of what you've seen here and where you think it's going or where should it go?
Thank you so much, Ed. I've just been loving the conversations, and really what I want to try to do today is try to weave the threads together and try to consolidate all the speakers. And I put together a small presentation to help share a little bit of the science, the emerging research in the field of bioelectricity and bioenergy, so that we can really begin to appreciate the full potential of the immersive technology in the domes when it comes to mental health, as well as just physical health, emotional health, and well-being, and community engagement. So I'm going to quickly share. Okay. Can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So I don't have time to go into the details of the science, but for those of you who want to explore this further, I invite you to check out a TED Talk called The Medicine of Frequencies. What did Einstein mean? But just to give you a perspective of where I'm coming from, my field in medicine is unique. I'm a radiologist. We do not use prescription pads or scalpel blades. We use our understanding of energy and frequency and vibration to essentially non-invasively dissect the human body using a machine like an MRI or a CT scanner. And ultimately, we are all beings of energy. We're beings of light. And I also want to share that early in my medical career, I also had this health event. I required open heart surgery. And very quickly did I realize that our entire medical system and the way that we study and define health and wellness, how we deliver it, is very outdated and narrow in scope. And this catapulted me in a very different direction. I found myself in India, where I quickly became aware that there's an entire discipline of science that we're just not exposed to in the West. However you want to label it, the science of interconnection, the science of mind or consciousness, just to say that modern science is finally catching up to ancient wisdom. And so a lot of the work that I do is I help people appreciate this really fascinating intersection between science and, dare I say, spirituality. Again, however you label it, that's great, but just to understand that there's a deep wisdom in the inner experience. And just so you can, better appreciate in this lens that I call the medicinal mandala, this piece of this imagery is composed of two images. It's the vector equilibrium, the centerpiece, which represents, modern science and technology. And in this image, it represents, modern science. The lotus flower in the background, however, that is an ancient symbol. It's represented the science of mind and consciousness, the science of interconnectedness for thousands of years. And you can see how they weave together. These two images, they occupy the same space, really representing how, again, modern science is catching up to ancient wisdom. And I find this is just a beautiful venue that, we're sharing together, just so that you know that the vector equilibrium in the middle was coined by Buckminster Fuller, and it was his work in architecture that many of the domes are based off of and originated from, these geodesic domes. So just a bit of an interesting tie-in. I just want to say that this new lens is helping us make sense in context of the Nobel Prize of 2022 in physics that basically was awarded to 3 people that experimentally proved that we are all part of a non-local entangled universe, meaning that we're not separate from each other, we're deeply interconnected. And what Laura was sharing about the collective experience, it runs very deep. And that's something that I'm going to talk a little bit more about. But just to say that, we are an expression of the whole. And I just want to give this context to you because the world of immersive technology can really help people begin to understand the importance and this new era, this new chapter of medicine, where quantum physics and quantum informed perspectives is going to change the framework of how we understand how to heal self and others. And this is, a really fascinating research paper that was done in collaboration with a neurosurgeon and an astrophysicist. One side of the image, you're looking at the cosmic web. The other side, you're looking at neurovascular bundles from a biopsy from the cerebellum, which is in the back part of the brain. And the research shows that the relative distribution of mass and energy over distance is identical between the cosmos and your brain, taken into perspective with scale. And again, this is a way to help people appreciate that we are all expressions of the universe. There's information that's dancing in space, and we are that expression. We are part of the whole. And so through this lens, we can now begin to understand, how do we tap into that energy? How do we tap into our true nature? And it turns out that the heart plays a pivotal role. The science of the heart is so much more than a pump. And, again, I can't go into details. We just don't have time. But just so that you know that the heart has a very, a small, what we would call a miniaturized brain. 40,000 very specialized cells that function very similar to the cells in your brain. There's a high degree of intelligence. But for today's purpose, I want to just share that one of the roles of this little heart brain is that it encodes information in the rhythms of your heart. Now, this is really fascinating because Einstein said everything is energy, and so your thoughts and your emotions are forms of energy. When you are stressed, when you're anxious, your rhythms become very irregular, incoherent, which is shown in the top graph. But when you feel love and appreciation, when you feel a deep sense of awe and connection to something greater than self, your heart rhythms become very nice and regular. This is called coherence. And what these graphs are really showing you is that it's the balance between your sympathetic and parasympathetic arms of your autonomic nervous system. So when you are in a state of coherence, that nice sinusoidal rhythm is a reflection that your nervous system is in perfect balance. And we are measuring these heart rhythms. We can measure them, and we can help people better understand themselves, their emotional states. We can help people learn how to self-regulate, because it turns out that people can learn how to consciously shift from an incoherent state to a more coherent state. A conscious awareness, we can now regulate our emotions, and in turn, we're regulating our nervous system. And why this is so relevant to our conversation today is that we now know that when you can induce people into these rhythms using light, using sound. So when you understand frequency, you're able then to entrain the physiology or the nervous system of people into these optimal states. And again, the heart being so pivotal, the heart is sending information to the brain. So the areas of the brain that affect how we think, how we feel, how we act, how we perceive and process information of the external world, how we're going to respond or react, is all being influenced by the information coming from the heart. But as you can imagine, the heart is also sending information to the entire body. Every single cell in your body is receiving information from the heart, and it directly affects the physical well-being of ourselves. So when we talk about mind, body, and the spiritual health or the emotional health, the heart plays a pivotal role in the interplay between these main tenets of health. Just to give you a really brief idea, that what I'm talking about is not just marginal, slight, bump in health. This is really foundational stuff. This was a paper peer-reviewed, published August 2023. It showed that when people learn how to induce coherence, when they can consciously tune in, create that coherent state, that these individuals had a higher degree of immunity to the SARS-CoV virus than those who did not practice. They found that it was a linear relationship. So the more people practice, the more coherent they became, the more resilient, the more immune they were to the virus. And they were able to identify the very specific protein that was being produced that prevented the virus from entering the cells. So what we're saying now is that your thoughts, your intention, your ability to self-regulate directly impacts how your genes are modulated, the expression of your DNA, your genetic information. So how you use your mind is paramount in one's health and well-being. Now, again, what Laura was sharing was so powerful because it turns out that your energy is not just confined to your physical being, but we resonate with each other. If you are in a state of coherence, you can pull others around you into coherence. So, what Ilya Prigogine said, as Laura mentioned, Ilya Prigogine is a Nobel Prize winner. He said, an island of coherence can raise the entire system to a higher order. And this is what the science is, in fact, showing us, that we can induce coherence into other people. Medical research has shown that when this happens, when you feel that deep sense of connection and compassion for others, your pain threshold actually increases by up to 50%. And there's been studies that show that when you receive just a 30-minute visit with your doctor, let's say before surgery, and it's just to create a sense of connection, that compassion results in a 50% less opioid use post-operative. So after an operation, when you're in recovery, those who receive compassion pre-op actually had a reduction of post-op opioid use by up to 50%. So again, huge implications. And when you begin to see the world through this lens, you begin to appreciate that the heart plays this pivotal role between self-care and community health. So one of the last things that's really pivotal in this world of dome and immersive technology is that it can begin to help people not only become aware of this information, but also it answers the why. Why in the world are we designed in a way that we synchronize with each other? Why can my heart pull your heart into this beautiful rhythm? And this is something, I like to say, as Leonardo da Vinci said, learn how to see, realize that everything's connected to everything else. And Nikola Tesla said, if you wish to understand the universe, just think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And so when you look at Mother Nature, you begin to see patterns. We call it the Fibonacci sequence or golden ratio, but there's a certain rhythm that all of Mother Nature is dancing to. And it's the same rhythm that allows the vector equilibrium and that lotus flower in the medicinal monolith, why they weave together, is because there's this beautiful rhythm. Call it, the golden ratio, but, as a radiologist, I really want you to begin to, recognize it, because it literally is ubiquitous. It's throughout Mother Nature at every level. I know that you're hearing what I'm saying, but more importantly, I want you to see these relationships. Please take some time, contemplate, and think about what we're talking about today, because it really does change your perspective of life and our relationship to something much greater than ourselves. And so what's beautiful is that this information reframes how we see ourselves and our relationships to each other. And when we think about the content in domes, it's amazing that we can now use imagery and light and sound. We can affect people's energetic states. We can induce these coherent states that optimizes physical, mental, and emotional health. But when you can weave in the knowledge, when you can bring in this perspective, now you can cultivate this deep sense of awe, this moment of reconceptualization of how people see themselves and their relationships to each other. now you can begin to see the implications on a global level for global health. Because when you see this rhythm, you're literally recognizing this, fingerprint of Mother Nature. You begin to recognize that we, just like the cells in your body, the trillions of cells that making up, this ecosystem called you, well, you and me and everybody else, we're also part of a broader global ecosystem called Mother Earth. And it's from this perspective that when we use geometry, when we use shape and imagery, we can help people understand that no matter what culture you're coming from, we're all speaking the same language. There's something very divine. We all have this, appreciation of a deep connection to something greater than ourselves. And using art, using sound, we can help people recognize their true nature, not just as an individual, but as part of a global ecosystem, a community. And so again, when you use sound, when you use imagery and light, we are, you're literally helping people modulate genes. We can teach people how to modulate their own genetic expression. And just to say that we're at this point now where we can now measure a global heartbeat. This is alive. It's a not-for-profit web platform that is gamifying this entire science of heart coherence, helping people witness this emerging global heartbeat. Meanwhile, it also creates sustainable funding to support more mental health and resilience programs for communities in need. Again, I just wanted to, last thing, I added this in as listening to Laura. This is the famous quote of Ilya Prigogine, and why this is so important is because when we raise the coherence levels of a system, not only are we creating healthier individuals, because individually we each are becoming more coherent, but the social metrics have shown for decades now, again, this is academically studied for decades, that when areas of conflict, when they are focused, when the groups of people, I should say, cultivate inner peace, cultivate coherence, and then direct that state of inner wellness and compassion for another community that may be in conflict, their social metrics improved. So this is one example in the late 80s during the Lebanese Civil War. There was a Harvard psychologist and his team. They brought people together for basically over 2 years, 8 to 9 different moments where people came together to focus on coherence and compassion for self and for these communities in Lebanon. And you can see the stats were staggering. And these are published, peer-reviewed results. Time and time again, we're seeing the same results during these collective intention experiments. And so before the Nobel Prize of 2022, if you're still thinking in terms of separation, this would make no sense. But in a quantum informed era, when we begin to understand interconnectedness, this becomes really intuitive, inherent to our true nature. And this is what we're able to tap into with the immersive world, where we're using story, we're using these beautiful environments that can transport people and help them. When you weave in this knowledge, you can help people understand the true nature of their heart, our interconnectedness, and how beautiful, a vision of a future of peace and coherence can look like. So for anyone who's interested to learn more, to connect with us, here's I try to fill this up with a few resources and ways to get in touch with myself. So I just want to say a big thank you. Sorry, I'm going to just stop my share. A big thank you to Ed and Ryan, to the Dome Fest, and I've been meeting such amazing people. It's been a beautiful journey with this community, and a big shout out to Mark. I know Mark's out there today. And so just to say, this has been wonderful, and I think the future of the Dome, the immersive world, will play a huge role when it comes to a more proactive and preventative approach to medicine, how we can heal, And it's really, really exciting when you start to think in these terms.
Well, thanks, Mitch. Amazing stuff there. And I've seen numerous studies of virtual reality. The headsets where for like pain treatment, PTSD, depression, like that, and they're getting very high efficacy. But I don't think I've seen hardly any studies with the domes. No. And that'd be something that'd be really great, just to put a bug in your ear, to do a study with biometrics or neurometrics in the domes.
Definitely. And just to mention, what the studies are showing is that the immersive environments are has the same efficacy as cognitive behavioral therapy. So when you start to think in those terms, it's like, wow, even the cost savings, the perspective of how much money and how much impact this approach to healing can have, as opposed to a standard one-on-one or group therapy, you begin to realize that, there's so much potential here. Just not just from, the act of healing and community engagement, but for those who are looking for, big bang for the buck, this is the path how we can, change the way that we heal.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mitch. And I'd like to now invite up all the panelists for some Q&A. And any questions that you have or points that you'd like our panel to discuss, please pop that into the Q&A box. I'll start out with a question for everyone. Recognizing the power of this format. I mean, I just watch my own brain when I'm in a dome experience, and you get those moments of awe. And there's actually, you guys, there's a lot of research into the power of awe. They're finding that people who have a very moving, awe-inspiring experience are more pro-social, less fear of the future, less need to be right, and more creative like that. And it's like, wow, the world kind of needs this right now, The question is how to get it out there. And, I think all of you are seeing efficacy in the work that you're doing, through anecdotal. And of course, formal studies would be great as well. But the other question in my mind is, how do we get the public to appreciate this and demand it even? Because, like with Worlds, we're distributing, Mesmerica, Astronomica, Beatifica. These shows are intended to evoke positive emotions, but we don't market it as, dome show that's good for you. We're marketing that as an evening entertainment experience. And one of the issues that we found is that when you start telling people, oh, you should do this because it's good for you, they don't want that. I don't quite know why. But that might be changing now, of course, with the higher levels of stress and anxiety. So I'm just wondering if anybody wants to speak to that. How do we frame, what do we even call this stuff? Is it, we've called it, wellness experiences, transformative, transcendent experiences where you rise above our political, brain and get into this feeling of interconnectedness. Why don't you guys speak to that?
I would love to speak, if it's okay, because you touched something very dear to me. First of all, it's a human characteristic. No one wants to hear you should do this or you should like this. And that's why, for me, like this idea of Qualia, even as a title, Qualia means this qualitative experience that rises within you. And so whatever is there for you, it's exactly what you need. And we've been talking about calling a genre, and I feel that it would be interesting to call it entrainment art, meaning for me, it's not only the healing aspect. For me, for example, films like Koyaanisqatsi with the music of Philip Glass, or Lecture Drum, or Baraka, those films, they were not for healing at all, but they did a transformation in my life. They were initiations for me, because they allow me to entrain, to become that experience, and to get the experiences that as a teenager in Sicily, I could not have. And that's why I appreciate so much bringing back wisdom traditions as well, the oceanic, incredible life and mystery and beauty that makes us not only in awe, but what is this awe? Expands our sense of being just these little box humans, and we return back to the privilege of being humans with all of the senses that are dormant. And that's why I think the dome and a sense of a genre that has that imprint, that input or that intention can help people not tell them what to do, but just to come and experience themselves in ways that they've never been experienced themselves before. And what is there? It's a mystery. And for everybody, it's different.
Very cool. Anyone else want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. I remember when I first started working in this space, I attended the Global Wellness Summit, which was in Boston in that year. And there's definitely a growing trend in wellness in general, not just in immersive media, but in all forms of what wellness means. Wellness tourism, all kinds of practices. And so I think there is a new wave of the public who want to feel better. That's, I think, what that tells us. We've been talking with spas who are looking for more programming in their center to inspire people to come and, choose that over going to a loud bar and partying all night, for example. There seems to be this kind of wave of younger audiences who are seeking experiences that are better for them in all shapes and sizes. But there's definitely a sensitive way to present what we're creating to the public, to really invite them in and not turn them away. We follow a similar strategy as you have at the Worlds team with Sounds of the Ocean, where it's really not intending to heal anyone or, make any claims that we are going to help people feel better, but help them reconnect to themselves and the environment, which is, I think, something that most people need. So I think as long as the marketing is done correctly, people can be inspired to come to new wellness types of experiences for sure. And there's a growing interest in it.
Cool.
Also in real estate, in business, in almost every aspect of our society.
Indeed. Hey, Mitch, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree 100% with what Josh is saying, that there is definitely this growing interest in wellness. There's a level of consciousness that starting to increase and bubbling to the surface when we begin talking about these deeper connections between self and something greater than self and energy. I'm going to, again, Mark Lesor, he introduced me to these terms, edutainment and medutainment, which I think really beautifully encapsulates this idea of how we can entertain while educate, and particularly with the knowledge of claiming inner agency for healing, it becomes, part of the medical, paradigm of how we can educate and reframe. And I also want to bring, something that's really exciting that I see is going to be a big part of how this begins to spread and proliferate and can really amplify in message, that there is this emerging party, this celebration. You can check out Synchronous Story, that is very excited to bring together this massive celebration, because this knowledge now can be packaged in beautiful ways, now that you guys can kind of see how this fits so well, not only in this venue, but in festivals, music festivals, and ways to celebrate this knowledge. And with the immersive ability to start connecting communities in a virtual world, this becomes something just so powerful. And I've always said, look, the science of compassion is very clear. Compassion is contagious. And when you weave this conversation with music, with art, with powerful storytelling, imagery, it's not just contagious anymore. Now we're talking about this is infectious. And, we can really celebrate something, and this is happening. This is, on the horizon. And I think this is going to play a very powerful role in getting not just this message, but people wanting to come and experience, these events and part of a growing ecosystem.
Very cool. Anyone else want to comment? Yes, Jahna.
This is also something that I feel we can bring into is the whole concept of savoring, because when we come together and when we have these abilities to connect, we actually then are calm enough that we can begin to savor our environment, savor our relationships. We can feel into the love. We can feel into the connection to the climate and the ocean and nature. We begin to experience how we're all interconnected. And so it'd be interesting to see how we can incorporate the concept of savoring into this conversation and, have it be part of this trying to find out what we call this, right?
We've also been experimenting with branding some of our live events, calling them transformances, because they're transformative, but they're performative. So
it kind of invites everybody in a way. It can be, inclusive, so people don't, like you were talking, Ed, for whatever reason, people hearing wellness, but although wellness is growing, it'll be interesting to see, right? Because there is this burgeoning, it's great for conversation, for sure.
And, in a sense, planetariums have been doing this for a very long time. The music you associate with a planetarium is typically space music, or, is very, very chill, John Seary and Steve Roach and people like that. And, planetarium can be a very calming environment, like that, just slowly moving scenes and all, some people snoring, whatever, but maybe that's what they need. But here's another question for you guys. So we come to the dome, we have this 1 hour experience. It's like, wow, you walk out feeling really different. Then you go home, and then what? Like, in other words, how do we extend this outside of the dome? Are there, do any of you have ongoing sort of programming or, go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, I love where you're going with this. How do we sustain the engagement? And this is, just in general in medicine, it's a big issue around compliance and engagement. And one of the things that we believe very strongly with this NextGen Health Foundation and the global heart sync is that this is a community of practice. So now you can imagine once you learn how to tune into your heart, there's a growing community around the world that are connecting online for free over Zoom, where people can now tune into their hearts. And they're meeting others who are dedicated to not just their self-care, but they're starting to celebrate this recognition of shared humanity and our common humanity. And this, I think, is part of the strategy of how we can sustain engagement, keep people, connected to their hearts as part of a growing global ecosystem. And again, you weave the global heart sync concept where we're measuring a heartbeat with a virtual, growing ecosystem and a community. This now becomes something that it's not just a one-off. This is now a story. It's now a recognition of a global identity that is reframing how do we move forward in a world of chaos where now we're bringing more order to ourselves and to our communities and our ecosystems.
Great. Well, anyone else have a way of extending this? Like an app or a practice or recommended, workshops or anything? Anybody doing anything?
For me, it's
like
a
that?
question of live streams, like monthly live streams, kind of SYQ, like share your qualia in this case, because again, of the kind of movement that we are creating around this idea of what's your qualia, what is your one-of-a-kind way to look at reality. But at the same time, to also provide, I believe, works that they invite us to look at reality in a different way. So if you go back home, like this woman saying to me, like, I look at the tree in the backyard and for the first time I don't feel alone. We are allowing them to bring, or like the connection you can have with mammals and fish, or, you know, the sense of community, even just that you want to now engage with your neighbors. I think if we bring as well that intentionality and that's kind of meaning that allows something that now it's in our modern life that can allow us to look at that life in a different way, that's for me already like an impact and something huge.
Right. I guess if an experience is truly transformative, you walk out transformed, right?
Exactly.
There's a lasting impact from your experience.
And then you're transforming others because you bring that one wisdom you heard in that experience or one sensation, and then your heart is syncing with another one, and there you go, Mitch. Now we are into this coherence that you provide in your environment just because you saw a movie. And honestly, you don't go to the theater most often and see Hollywood movies and you hear people at the end, oh my God, I felt over. People, they just have ice cream and popcorn and they go to sleep. So in that sense, I think we're doing something special. We're truly like working a medium that has a potential that is so needed. And I think it is also a beautiful transition. And I, again, grateful to you, Ed, and to all of the people like you, Kate, and all of the Mesma America, and all of the, I don't know, like, sorry if I'm forgetting anything and anybody, but you are already paved for us this wave that maybe you navigated ahead. But, you know, I'm so grateful because it's also thanks to you that all of this is happening and these conversations are happening and these venues are opening and we are shifting. So again,
right on. Thanks,
Ryan, of course, Ryan. Thank you. Yeah, without
the
you,
whole
like,
team. Well, you know, we're all doing our part, and
yeah,
you know,
we're all part of the ecosystem.
And I might have been at it a little longer than others, but but yeah. So Joshua, you got your hand up.
Yeah, just to comment on this this question of ongoing and what do you do after the experience. So I believe that real growth happens when you do something in repetition. So we always inspire guests who come to one of our experiences, maybe if it's a first time for them to feel a certain way, just to seek out similar things in their local community that they can be doing on a regular basis, like maybe going to a yoga class, or if they felt really like emotional, maybe seek out a therapist or someone to talk to, somebody that can work with them one-on-one to go deeper. I think we view our events and our experiences as like a way to crack open the door and hopefully inspire people to walk through it themselves and really seek out what's available when they do that. And of course, we also offer the opportunity to come with us on retreats and really dive, you know, further inwards and practice, you know, breath work and sound healing and somatic movement. So I think these types of experiences, especially when it's an entertainment, you know, fun night out with loved ones, I think it has the power to be a great eye opener. And then how can we guide people to use the resources available to them, which I like your suggestion of apps and technology, but I also think there's a lot of value in just stripping all that away and connecting people on the human level without the technology, and allow them to realize wherever they live, there's something available, even if it's, you know, seeming in maybe the most unlikely place. And also connecting them with environmental causes to volunteer and sign up for local workshops and things. So I think really just engaging people, I think that's a lot of the part of overcoming anxiety and depression and stress, is really when you're part of community, when you're engaged and feel useful and have that purpose and connection. Generally speaking, most people feel better. So we try and encourage that as much as possible.
No, that's great. Yeah, you know, I've always thought of this medium as focusing more on affect than cognitive. So, you know, you can tell people you should be compassionate till you're blue in the face, right? But when people actually shift into the brain state of compassion, if you can bring them into that experience, is much more powerful than just telling them what they should be doing.
Ed, may I add one thing?
Oh,
and
go ahead.
This go back to Fisk. Like, for example, there are venues like Fisk where the 20 minutes pre-show of Qualia has live music with Rachel Feder. And that's another thing, as you shared, Joshua, to bring back to the community. I call it mycelium impact. The fact that now there is a practitioner there that is in the community, that when the show is done, they can reach out and learn more about if it's a practice or a certain message or that sense of, you said, of healing or, oh, can I reproduce it? And so I love as well as Joanne and Michael are doing at times to be there, and especially with local, we project shows now in different cities, but to find those local people we trust and give that space to them as well so that the community has a kind of a segue after that again expands this impact.
I absolutely agree, Laura, and then to offer the people that are in the community as resources to those coming, so that the people that are coming have somewhere in their community where they can, further their experience. So it's that one-to-one. It's really all about this beautiful connection we have together.
Right, and you guys also do a live stream sound healing kind of a thing, right, Michael and John?
Yes, we do a monthly, and we have a YouTube channel.
And also Insight Timer.
Yeah, but it's always been my vision to have resources at the end of the journey, like a quiet, somehow to invite people just to sit after the show instead of getting up and leaving, kind of being there and then offering vetted resources that they can, access. We're working on that to have that.
Thank you for bringing that, because I think another thing, Ed, is very important, integration with this work.
Yeah.
To have those 20 minutes after for people to integrate the experience, either is by simply silence or to allow them to get into this expansion before getting them out because there is another group, because it's so expensive, the venue, we need 3 shows in a night, right? But even there, that's why I invite planetariums and domes to really understand the value of what we are talking about and just be more generous in providing, or maybe sharing even together that responsibility of providing and hosting.
Absolutely. And the thing that I feel is the more that people feel safe in these communities, safe in these domes, they're going to want to come back and see other content, because they will have a sense of like home, if you will. If you have yoga in there or a sound experience or Laura's film or anybody, Joshua, Sam's, they're like, oh, I feel good here. Maybe I'll try this. So it really is, it's a win-win.
That's great. Yeah, I was thinking for planetariums, I mean, maybe a membership model.
Yeah.
Where you just pay a monthly fee and you can come as many times as you want, or something like that, right?
I love that, Ed.
Yeah. Very cool. Sam, did you have anything to add? Cool.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the statements being made here. My Zoom was freezing up there for a minute, but I was able to respond to Dan's question in the chat. I think there's a lot of research that does need to be done specific to the space. And, I think at the end of the day, we're all still very early in this. Ed, I know you've been at it for forever now, but there's still a very long ways to go. But, to basically support what I think each of the panelists are saying here, I think the audience, they feel what they get from this. You don't necessarily need to worry too much about communicating that to them. There is some work to be done in the marketing just to make sure that you are attracting the right audience that's interested in the kind of experiences that you want to offer as a producer. And, kind of to part of what Laura was commenting on about going to a traditional movie theater. No offense to producers coming out of Hollywood, but, I would argue that, each of us on this call, we're bringing a lot of intention into our work. And, nothing against a good action film, but, the effect that one of those films is going to have on you versus something you might come see in a planetarium is very different.
Yeah, I talk about the power of immersive media compared to film and television. And film and television, it's the low-hanging fruit of storytelling, right? You have the cliffhanger, oh, is it going to fall? Or you have, oh, is it going to shoot her? Or oh, I'm so sad they broke up, or, like those kind of heartstrings are easy to pull, fear and loss and all of that through storytelling. But what's unique about immersion, you can evoke a sense of awe that is very difficult to achieve in film or television. And bring people and train people into these mindfulness states and like that. There's so many things. That's why I say we need more studies, scientific studies, looking at how it differs. How do domes differ even from VR and also contemporary media?
Certainly. And, something you highlighted right there, the biggest thing that really bothers me with a lot of the quote unquote big media, I'll call it, is just the use of fear, right? And I think it's a beautiful thing that, not one of the films that we've talked about today incorporates that,
Yeah, what's interesting though, in studies of awe, there's positive awe and negative awe. I'm not quite sure what the differences are in terms of outcomes, but negative awe is like you look up and you see, like, I don't know, our sun went into a supernova and we're going to die in a few minutes, but you have this sense of awe, like that. It evokes. So it's very interesting.
I believe that we need all of that. I'm also for entertainment. It's important times we unplug and all of the genre, all of the emotional spectrum that we have. It's important to instigate them, and that's again the power of art. I think we just have to, figure out what is here that we are talking about. As you said, Ed, maybe it needs a new genre, a new kind of expression. But again, for me, Koyaanisqatsi or films like those, they were not immersive films. And yet, I came out for a few times in my life with films, but those films still. So I'm also inspired, and I would love to collaborate also with that kind of genre, if you want, or forms of making films.
That's great. We really need to get into some audience Q&A here before we close. Ivo Henning says, building interactive coherence work with HeartMath a decade ago was fascinating for me to see that attunement and coherence can be built very quickly through synchronized immersive experiences shared with other humans, giving a powerful state that can change humans quickly, positively. Where else do you see interactive and immersive triggers for coherence regulation being used in beautiful and beneficial ways? I guess anybody have a comment on that?
Well, I can just say that the work around coherence, the research is now so profound. It's like so solid, and the HeartMath has also taken on the Global Conscious Project that was started back in the late 80s by Dr. Roger Nelson at Princeton. So if you now look at the fact that we can now measure a global heartbeat, we can now measure coherence, a field radiating from the heart, and we're also now measuring a global consciousness on this planet through random number generators. So, I see the ability to measure in real time. I mean, if you go to an experience at a dome, you can, through the visuals, through the sound, through the story, we're creating this beautiful inner experience for people, but we can now show people in real time that how their heart and their coherence is being affected. So now you can take their inner experience and pair it now with their awareness of what's happening within, which is now going to carry forward when they start dealing with the outside world. And I think venues like music, venues, festivals, art galleries, places of culture, of the arts, even opportunities in dialogue and conversations where we're learning from other cultures. Because eventually we get to a point where we realize, wait a sec, we're not different. We thought the old stories and the old narratives that we told ourselves, we were saying we were different. But in fact, if we're not different, wow, there's so much that we can learn from each other. And I think it's in all of these elements, or in these venues and opportunities, that we can bring more coherence to the world. We can measure it. And most importantly, we can start helping people bring their attention to their own inner experience for coherence.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Kelly asks, what are ways in which people can be induced into rhythmic equilibrium or coherence? And And, are there other modalities? You mentioned frequencies, sounds. I think Michael and Jahna use binaural beats. What are any other ones you can think of? I know there's like the flickering lights with the brain entrainment.
In my experience, first of all, field recordings to expose people back to those sounds of nature, birds or dolphins. It's an echoing and a sympathetic resonance with sounds that are ancient, so they evoke in us an ancient experience of a certain kind. That's for sure one. In my work, Chambers of Awe, AWE, it means also acoustic waves emergence. What I'm doing through the music is that I'm not using any computer-generated sound. What sounds, let's say, as a keyboard, they are tubular bells that I play, and then I remove the attack, and you get these drones, and that becomes a drone. So in my work, for example, I bring the acoustic nourishments of sound that is already lost in technology as soon as you record an instrument. But at least to augment, as we do with the screen and the visuals, I try to augment those acoustic sources, and then I get a lower octave or sounds that we don't hear with our hearings, but they are there. And so by amplifying that, you allow people also to step and to entrain again with sounds that not being exposed to, and being exposed one more time, you help expand and resonate and rebalance.
Cool. Michael and Jahna had a hand up.
Right. Well, Laura, it's we also use all natural instruments, even the percussion instruments like the udu, which is a big clay pot that was in one of the pieces, and also the singing bowls themselves are an ancient technology for coherence. And so they're built into these things. All the bowls that I play are between 300 and 600 years old. They're all antique pieces. And so the monks created these, and they're paintings that go back 2,500 years of monks using singing bowls in meditation, paintings in India. So this is a technology that's been around, and we're bringing it in to as many people as possible to take that ancient technology into a modern medium so that they can experience this coherence. And so they can, and when they're in a group together, they can all entrain to those frequencies of the bowls. And the reason why I gravitated towards the ancient bowls is because the complex metallurgy, there's so many complex overtones, and they create the sums and differences of all those overtones are what make the magic in the singing bowls. And so that's been so powerful for live audiences and also in the films that we're working on.
But I think this is also about, Laura's talking about nature sounds, and the same that Josh was using. I'm not sure what Sam is using specifically, but they're not like, you can't count them. You can't, they're nature. They come and they have their unique voice, if you will. And I think there's something in the quality of that we as human beings are feeling into our sensations. And that is, we want to measure it, but maybe it's not measurable. Maybe it's more of a language that we're learning to learn, to listen to, right? Because
to remember.
To remember. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Right. That's
Mitch, you have a hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add two pieces that could help people get into that coherent state. One is breath work. The breath is just so powerful. And when you slow the breath to a certain frequency, it's like, the body will entrain itself to that frequency. So breath is powerful. And we use this technique with kids a lot, using what we would call the yantra. It's a static image of geometry that's literally, the visual representation of, the sounds of nature. It's, the geometry of the architecture of the universe. And when you stare at it and you really begin to gaze your attention on it, it can clear the mind, just like a mantra does. So it's like a silent mantra, which is a yantra. And we've used this, again, leveraging the medicinal mandala, with kids, where we go into schools and we talk about the power of their hearts and the power of them, their ability to tune inwards, and getting children to color these designs is another way, that people can tap into this frequency. And we've done this. It actually just was an offshoot of a staff wellness program that we did at a hospital. And within weeks, therapists were using it for their patients because they noticed that it calmed them down, and it also was improving hand-eye coordination for closed head injuries and all sorts of, a variety of different indications. But just to say, those are also two simple tools.
I will add also dance. There are a lot of studies around dance. It's very important. Also for people with Alzheimer's, if they start to dance, they don't shake anymore. And in training with the rhythms, to also have an external rhythm of a certain kind, either if it's a drum or anything. But even dancing in silence, just the fact of the act of dancing is another good way.
Right on. Well, we're going to have to wind it down here. There's still some great questions. I'd like to invite everybody to jump into the open forum lounge immediately after. Make sure that you, including panelists, if you can make it, be sure to copy the Zoom link that Kelly Francis just posted. I would do that right now. And gosh, you guys, rock stars all, thank you for helping to bring this to the people. I mean, this is all about having a positive influence on our communities, on our attendees, our audiences, however you want to think of it, participants, I like to say. I think for anyone out there who is operating a planetarium, programming a planetarium, really encourage you to look at this body of work and find a space for it in your programming. You're there to serve your community, a cultural institution, and I think this is really important stuff. So thanks all.
Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you, everybody.
You betcha.
Cool.
And I'd like to invite Ryan back up. Ryan, you there? Hey.
I am. Man, what an amazing conversation. Everybody in the audience, please hit that react button. Let's give these people some love. Thank you all so much. Michael and Jahna, I love that. There we go. There the hearts come in. Awesome. So as Ed said, we've got the open floor lounge right after this. We invite you all to come there. You can have your webcams on. We can all have a good conversation. But before we do that, I want to just quickly let everyone know that we will be back next week with our next Fulldome Forum. We are doing a preview of our festival. So come meet some of the artists, some of the vendors, the different brands that will be a part of the event. Come understand what you'll be seeing if you are coming to the festival and what you'll be missing if you're not coming this year. So we will see you next week or next month. Apologies on that, but even sooner here in about 2 or 3 minutes. So thank you so much, everyone. We bid our guests adieu, and we'll see you in the open floor lounge. Thank you all. Bye.
You all. Take care.
Thank you, Ryan. We love you.
Thanks for coming. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ed.